Hi again. So my name is Nitin, and we are here at JLL office in Hyderabad alongside of Surabhi. So welcome, or actually, thank you for inviting us. Going ahead for this kind of conversation, so that our audience can benefit out of it. So thank you, Surabhi, and I will just open it up for you to introduce yourself to the audience and take us through your journey.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's wonderful having you in our JLL office here. I just started my role about 3.5 months ago as the head of Design Solutions India with JLL. This is my second time. I'm a boomerang for JLL, so definitely very appreciative of the organizational culture we carry across Asia Pacific, JLL, or globally as an organization. I'm an architect by background. I grew up in India in a small city of Mysore, and post my degree, I went to pursue my higher studies or masters to the US, and that was way back in 99 2000. So it's been 23 years of journey post traveling across the globe. So I have come back and forth into Asia Pacific with roles previously into India and to Singapore as well. And I think the early years, what I feel starkly from my experiences into US was the more inclusive work culture. So I pursued my master's in industrial construction management areas, which was probably a little bit early on into India. That these are not the perfect areas for women, being more vulnerable, I would say, and safety concerns. I think that just left a heavy impression going into the US. I was very excited about doing large scale construction opportunities that the country carries. Of course, now I feel it's the other way around. We have the largest opportunities in Asia Pacific in the industrial sector, in the construction industry sector. But early days, I did my internship with a large construction firm, Bechtel, where they focused a lot on safety practices, on worker health, just the best practices on board for the organization. Really, laser focused on zero incidents in their sites, and we had zero accidents across their whole, countrywide as a team. And so every Friday there would be these safety meetings, which were led by safety officers, and it was bringing that culture and the mindset of every employee that safety is number one for everyone. And so the use of personal protective gear, the boots, the hats are made into a fun environment also. It's not just a dry way of how Americans deal with it. So I was very impressed in the way they would bring that culture of embracing safer practices. And as a woman, I never felt that I was someone different sitting in that group. It was very inclusive, very collaborative work culture, and never hesitating to go to the work sites that I have to fear my safety as a concern in those environments. And it was going to the sites in remote areas and stuff, of course. Ubers were not there, so I was self driving myself or with a colleague. And I think those times have changed. I feel that the challenges have changed over a period of time for everyone, just not women. But these are some of the early impressions. And then when I came back after a lot of years of working in the US in 2010, 11, I came to Bangalore. I worked with IPCs and I was doing project management services. And the early exposure into sites with developers was still very nascent. The safer practices were missing, and that just caught my eye a little bit more into that there is so much needed still for our, and at that point I think we could call our country developing. Now I feel it's a developed country. We are on par with the world, and maybe even heading to be ahead of the game. But those were the days when I feel the safety practices were a big concern in the construction industry. Women, as a woman, you would also hesitate to be certain hours in the sites alone. Though the people will be friendly, but then you have a mixed bag of things. And so I really felt passionate about, and I feel there was a lot of empathy into that whole cultural mindset that the developers were carrying.
Right. So again, it's a huge plethora of experience in that capacity. Moving across the geographies, working across the organizations, I mean, multiple IPCs, within India, outside India, again, working across various profiles,
Yeah.
and getting a lot of flavor of everything in that capacity. So take us through the area wherein you might have been going through a sudden ups and downs. Something might have felt easy, something might have felt difficult. So how your journey has been as a woman in the sector?
One is an individual level. I think everyone goes through a level of challenge, whether it is a male or female. I want to state that because I think there is an overemphasis on just women in the workplace. I think there is a challenge for everyone, whether they're coming from other genders, and today we have so many other, able, disabled people coming in the workplace. So women, as a woman, definitely, personal challenges of family are there. You are always from coming from an Indian culture, how I was grown up, you would automatically think as a caregiver for your family, for your elders, for your parents, for your in-laws. Just as I feel that the project coordinator role was ingrained even before I became a PM in my role. That what happens at home is my priority, even if it's through the help of maids. I wouldn't say that it was every time I was doing, but even if it's a helper doing, I'm the one who's coordinating with that, like how the kids are going to school or how my in-law mom is taking care. So those kind of responsibilities are there, and then you pass that hurdle, you go to your workplace. Sometimes you do have that disparity of, I think, culture more in the, I would say when I came back more in the Indian context, there was still, you would not see women in the leadership roles, for example. Though in the IPCs, we would see one or two still, which who became my mentors, right? Shobha was my boss in one of those environments. It was great to see women in the workplace. It would always give a positive input on that it's still possible to do this sort of a thing. But a lot of the things were default, male driven, male dominant. Even in the US, it would be taken in a very offensive manner if it's done. And so, while it's still subtly happening, I would still say that it's not a fully, it's still a male dominated society, and there is a complexity of also you coming from another race. And so a lot of the times when you start going up the ladder, you start to see that being from not being a white could be a barrier besides being a woman. So those are some of the things. But then the merit sort of starts to cut through. You have to work harder, but you put in more than the normal self, and you start to go ahead of your career.
Again, the challenges are variety of challenges are there, but the focus of this question was so that the audience can actually learn and understand how easy or difficult for a woman to enter the sector and work out their career journey, career path compared to some other sectors. So because there are a lot of people who are still anticipating if construction is really capable of giving them a career.
Yeah, one thing is the personality. I think in the construction industry, if I compare it with the IT industry, it's a little bit more extroverted in nature, right? You have to interact with people, whereas in IT, you're more interaction with the laptop, and we are through the laptop, you're interacting. So there's a layer of barrier, whereas in construction, you're directly dealing with vendors,
and with the design, actually, it's something which is reflecting.
It's more, kind of you. It's there is more physicality to everything, and so I think one is the personality itself for the women, that they need to be more communicative is very important, because you need to be able to communicate where your concerns are, where your fears are, or with your supervisors. Today there is a lot of focus on D&I in the organization, and a lot of focus is that women are protected, or the safer environments. I wouldn't say protected. I think the environments need to be safer than we need to protect women, which is a little bit different.
Right.
So I think in the 10 years you do see that shift happening in India, which is a great thing to see. I mean, at least in my organization, there are so many programs happening for D&I. Actually, on Saturday we have an event in our office space here for women. Who we are just having a lunch party, and we're going to connect across women in the whole organization through our town halls, and understand their voices from site. And they could be small and big. A lot of the times sites may be lacking even a female restroom, for example. So those are the things that have to be rubbed in terms of bringing women into the workplace. So I think there's a need for inclusiveness, which over a period of time I'm seeing that the challenges are lesser from that aspect. However, there is a mental perception about the construction industry that it's still male dominated, which I feel is um, not so much anymore. And you have a lot of women in this industry, like myself and my colleagues, and I think we definitely will help break those barriers, mental barriers for women to join and be excited about the career. I think there's a phenomenal things that women can do in this sector.
Sure. So the opportunities are more, and such kind of hindrances or I would say roadblocks are something doing away or moving away.
Absolutely. But I mean, end of the day, individually you would make a pick, right? Like if you are thinking it's going to be remote working, which an IT sector may allow it more, but construction industry, I don't think everything is remotable, right? Like you cannot just work remotely and manage. A lot of it is like cost managers can sit and they don't need to come into site, for example. So there are roles which are more hybrid than some which will require you to be on site. So those are the choices they have to kind of make when they are picking those careers.
Again, being a social animal, you have to have that kind of interaction,
Absolutely.
engagement with people. So probably one final question: what is the advice or probably learnings out of your experiences that you would want to share with the audience so that they do not make the same mistakes or probably use them as a learning to get a fast track career?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like being a woman, you remain a little bit more silent and quiet. Don't be that. But don't over voice it too. Like, hey, I'm in the room and I need my presence felt. I don't think it's going either ways in the extreme. Be in the moderate. I think then you would catch real traction. Be more genuine into your workplace. And if there are safer concerns, those need to be brought to your organization and handled. But the present situation, I think it is very equitable. It's very, platforms are more encouraging women in the industry. And so there's no reason for women to not think about construction industry as the real opportunity.
Be construction, real estate,
or real estate or workplace. These are all exciting industries based on their interest and aptitude. Don't get forced to come in because they're saying, oh, this is great for women. I think it should be a genuine aptitude and you would not see a barrier there then.
Sure. Thank you so much for this discussion. I'm hoping this is very fruitful for the audience so that they can pick up the cues and cards that we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm here to answer any other questions you have, Nitin. It's great to have you and look forward to stay connected. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.